When it comes to Kendrick Lamar, and when it comes to Drake, if you are ready to see how Drake building ice sculptures is somehow connected to his album finally getting closer, and how we now have inside information on what Iceman is actually going to be about, leave a like and let's get into it. Because yes, you heard it right. This album is going to have diss tracks, and the main target is exactly who you would expect.
Before we go any further, Drake putting up ice blocks has somehow managed to reignite his fan base and get people excited again, despite zero music being released. So melt those Icemen, leave a like, and subscribe. Because the Drake stands are reaching new levels of annoying, standing around a frozen cube like it's a cultural event, when really, all Drake did was commission some ice and hide a MacGuffin inside it. And yet people are out here worshipping a block. That tells you everything about where we are.
This ice stunt clearly appeals to Drake's more juvenile fan base and to the clout-chasing streamer crowd, and I'm not going to dwell on that too long. What I actually want to do today is something nobody else is doing. Look at what is genuinely being reported behind the scenes about this record. Because while the stands are analyzing the cube like it holds the secrets of the universe, there is real information coming out about what Iceman is going to contain. And when you see what it actually is and what year we are in, it is almost too much to process.
I want to be clear. I am not here to be an Iceman hype machine. I want to explore what is actually being said behind the scenes about this album. And based on what informed people in the industry are reporting, what we know Iceman is going to center around is something that, considering everything that has happened over the last 2 years, should not surprise anyone, but is still somehow absurd to think about. Because no matter how cool you think a Drake ice sculpture is, that cube is a distraction, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the music itself.
Whether you think the ice stunt is brilliant marketing or the lamest thing you've ever seen, it genuinely does not matter. What matters is what comes out of it. And Drake's entire strategy right now is built on spectacle over substance. He is using elaborate visual presentation to get people back on board before they've heard a single note of the actual record. And that tells you everything about how much confidence exists internally in what the music actually sounds like.
Because think about what is happening here. Drake did not drop a new song. He did not release a snippet. He did not give anyone a real reason to believe in him musically. He put out some blocks of ice, and people came running. That is the power of a brand operating on fumes and nostalgia. And it works on enough people to keep the conversation going. But it is not music. And until music drops, none of it actually means anything for his standing in this genre.
To be fair, there is more effort going into the Iceman rollout than Drake has put into any album launch in recent memory. The planning, the theatrics, the build-up, it is all clearly intentional and calculated, and that speaks to how seriously he is taking this moment. But spectacle without substance has a ceiling. And for any of this to actually matter in hip-hop, it is going to have to result in music that can stand on its own, without ice blocks and cinematic episodes propping it up.
And that is the core issue. Drake keeps gesturing toward the music without actually delivering it. The latest tease is the promise of a hard drive inside the ice sculpture, supposedly containing a release date that will be revealed when the ice melts. Which means we are now waiting for ice to melt before we get an album date, in 2026, from one of the most commercially successful artists in music history. And we are not going to sit here and wait around for that to unfold, while Drake tries to undo 2 years of hip-hop history with a Fortnite event.
So instead of watching ice melt, let's talk about what this album is actually going to contain, because that information is now out there from a credible source. The same insider who correctly predicted Baby Keem's album announcement to the exact hour, who knew Don Toliver's drop date, who called Harry Styles and several other major releases ahead of time. This person has been accurate with every major piece of album information they've dropped all year. And what they've said about Iceman is this. Drake will be addressing his ops on Iceman. It is being described as his most lyrical album ever. And the hard drive hidden inside the ice contains a release date. Now, the first 2 points are the ones worth examining carefully. Because if we strip away the hype and just look at what those claims actually mean, what we are being told is that Iceman is going to be a diss album, a revenge record, a collection of bars aimed at everyone Drake feels wronged him over the past 2 years. Which is precisely what every leak, every snippet, and every person in Drake's orbit has been signaling for months.
And the claim that this is going to be Drake's most lyrical album ever? Look, we have heard that exact line before. During the For All the Dogs rollout, Lil Yachty came out and made the same declaration. Everyone got excited, and then we got one of the most bloated and forgettable albums of Drake's career. So forgive me if I do not immediately accept that same talking point just because it's coming from a different source this time. Unless Drake has somehow assembled an entirely different creative team around him, that claim deserves to be treated with significant skepticism.
What is tangible here, and what we should actually prepare ourselves for, is that Iceman may have more diss tracks on it than any album in hip-hop history. That is a genuine prediction based on everything we know. Drake has been building up resentment and spite for 2 years. He has been drafting responses, testing lines, flipping hooks from Not Like Us on leaked snippets. The pettiness and the aggression have been accumulating. And now that the rollout is reaching its most theatrical phase, all of that energy has to land somewhere, and it's going to land on a lot of people.
The talking points from inside the OVO camp are all pointing in the same direction. This is going to be a confrontational, bars-forward album about the beef and its aftermath. And that makes sense, because the only Drake project that generated any real noise recently was What Did I Miss?, the song that engaged directly with the beef. Meanwhile, Doghouse and Which One, which had nothing to do with any of it, were two of the biggest commercial flops of his recent career. Drake and the people around him have clearly done the math on what his audience actually responds to right now.
And of course, at the top of the list of targets, the person who started all of this, the person who reset the entire rap game, the person who sent Drake on this 2-year crash out in the first place, is Kendrick Lamar. We are gearing up for Drake to attempt a round 2, almost 2 full years after he first started talking about it. And the question is not just whether the bars are going to land, it is whether anything Drake does in a diss track context can even be taken seriously anymore, given everything he has done off the mic in the meantime.
Because here is the fundamental problem. Drake can write the greatest diss track of all time. He can put together the most devastating verbal deconstruction of Kendrick Lamar ever committed to a record, and it will still be undermined by one single unavoidable fact. This is the same person who took a rap battle to a courtroom, tried to change the precedent of free speech, and attempted to use defamation law to punish someone for winning a rap beef. You cannot weaponize the legal system against diss tracks and then turn around and make diss tracks. The contradiction is too enormous to talk your way around.
And Kendrick does not even need to respond for Drake to lose this round. Kendrick can stay home. He can go back to Disneyland. He has already won. Because the moment Drake releases a diss track at Kendrick while simultaneously suing over a diss track directed at him, every rapper watching, every hip-hop fan paying attention, and every media figure covering the story is going to point at that contradiction immediately. There is no spin available. There is no framing that makes it okay. You either believe in diss tracks as protected artistic expression or you sue over them. You cannot do both.
The full list of possible targets on Iceman is genuinely something to think about. Kendrick is obviously getting the most bars, but beyond him, will Drake go after Jay-Z for the Super Bowl decision? Will Pusha T get addressed again? Will Drake take shots at Tyler the Creator, Schoolboy Q, Absol, Pharrell, anyone connected to the Kendrick camp? Will Joe Budden, Peter Rosenberg, and Ebro get called out by name for being vocal critics? And then beyond hip-hop entirely, will LeBron James, who Drake has seemingly felt most personally betrayed by, end up as a primary target?
Based on the leaked snippets we've already heard, Schoolboy Q getting name-dropped, Not Like Us hooks being flipped and reflipped, Drake has clearly been thinking about all of these people. He has been sitting with this for a long time, and the album is going to reflect that. But what makes all of it complicated and ultimately self-defeating is that Drake's pattern in beef has always been to go after the women connected to his male rivals, rather than addressing the men directly. And if he does that again on Iceman, targeting Whitney, Savannah James, Virginia Williams, the optics are going to be catastrophic. Because going after women who are not part of the rap world and who cannot defend themselves in this arena, while simultaneously suing over a diss track that went after you, that is a combination that no spin doctor on earth can rehabilitate. The PR nightmare is already built into the blueprint if Drake goes that route, and the history strongly suggests he will. Because that has been his move in every major beef he's ever been in, and every time it has made him look worse than whatever he was trying to say in the first place.
Drake also clearly understands that the theatrics are going to need to carry a significant portion of the weight here. The project bought Smoke Cloud, the Adonis music video, the Ice Fortress. He knows the music alone is not going to be enough to shift the narrative. So he is trying to build an atmosphere, a sense of event, a feeling that something massive is coming, in hopes that the spectacle creates momentum that the music can then ride. It is a smart strategy given his limitations. It is also a strategy that only works if the music eventually delivers. And that is the part nobody inside Drake's camp seems to have a confident answer for.
The deepest problem Drake faces with Iceman is not whether the bars land or whether the production is good. It is that he has created a situation where no matter what the album actually sounds like, his ability to stand on it and defend it is permanently compromised. He is in an impossible position. He cannot be the voice of rap beef while actively trying to legislate rap beef out of existence. He cannot call people out for things they said about him while suing over things people said about him. He cannot be both the aggressor and the victim simultaneously, and he has been trying to play both roles for 2 years.
And that paradox is what is going to define Iceman, regardless of what is actually on it. Even if Drake puts out the most energetic, most lyrical, most culturally engaged album of his career, the conversation around it will immediately go back to the lawsuit, back to the legal filings, back to the fact that the same person making this aggressive, competitive music has been in court trying to prevent aggressive, competitive music from existing without legal consequences. That is the box Drake has locked himself into, and there is no album rollout or ice sculpture that gets him out of it.
What Drake needed to do, and what he is clearly not going to do, is make an album about himself. Not Kendrick, not LeBron, not Pusha T, not the label. Him. His evolution, his accountability, his actual reckoning with what happened and why. That is the album that could have changed the conversation. That is the album that might have earned him some genuine respect back. Instead, we are getting a spite record aimed at everyone except the mirror. And a spite record from someone in Drake's current position is not going to generate the cultural moment he is hoping for. It is going to generate mockery.
Because here is what we know from everything. The leaks, the sources, the talking points, the legal filings, the smoke clouds, the ice cubes. Drake has not processed what happened. He has not accepted it. He has not grown from it. He is making an album from a place of unresolved rage and wounded ego, rather than from a place of genuine artistic clarity. And albums made from that place do not age well. They do not become classics. They become cautionary tales.
And the lawsuit is still ongoing, still being dragged out, still sending the message to everyone watching that Drake intends to see this through no matter what it costs, financially, reputationally, culturally. Which means even after Iceman drops, the conversation is not going to reset. The lawsuit is going to keep pulling the focus back. Every interview, every article, every reaction video is going to have to acknowledge it. There is no clean slate available for Drake, not while the legal case is still alive.
So when you put all of it together, the diss-heavy album concept, the continued lawsuit, the history of targeting women connected to male rivals, the hypocrisy of making rap beef music while suing over rap beef, what you are looking at is an album that is almost purpose-built to fail. Not because Drake is incapable of making music, but because the circumstances around the music make it nearly impossible for it to land the way he needs it to. And the Drake stans who are standing around celebrating ice cubes right now are about to find out the hard way.
The one thing I will say is this. I am genuinely curious to see how Drake tries to address the lawsuit on the album, if he does at all. Because he has to address it. If he ignores it entirely and just launches into diss tracks like the last 2 years never happened, it is going to be the loudest silence in the history of music. Every bar he throws will be filtered through that unaddressed contradiction. And if he tries to recontextualize it, tries to spin it as something other than what it clearly was, he is going to expose himself even further in the process of trying to explain it.
What it really comes down to is this. Drake is about to step back into the arena using the very weapon, the diss track, the rap beef, the competitive bar, that he has simultaneously been trying to get the legal system to restrict. And he thinks theatrics and ice sculptures are going to distract people from noticing. They will not.
The culture notices, the culture remembers, and the culture is going to be watching this album with that knowledge front and center from the moment it drops. There are a lot of directions this could go beyond just Kendrick. The full target list on Iceman could be one of the longest ever assembled on a single record. Kendrick at the top, LeBron possibly second, then Pusha T, then Jay-Z, then media personalities, then women connected to his rivals, then maybe some genuinely unexpected names. Conan O'Brien got jokes off at the Oscars, Trevor Noah did the same at the Grammys. Drake has been compiling a list of grievances for 2 years, and when it finally comes out, the sheer volume of pettiness on display might actually be historic.
But volume of targets does not equal quality of music, and that is the trap Drake is walking straight into. A diss album that goes after LeBron James, Kendrick Lamar, Pusha T, Jay-Z, Schoolboy Q, multiple women, and various media personalities is going to come across not as a comeback, but as a comprehensive crash-out. A documentation of every grudge Drake is unable to let go of. And people are going to laugh. Not because the disses are necessarily bad, but because the person delivering them has permanently undermined their own credibility in the exact cultural space where those disses are supposed to matter.
And that is the thing Drake needs to genuinely think about. Not first-week streams, not viral moments, not what academics says on a stream. He needs to think about the long game. What does this album say about him in 5 years, in 10 years? When people look back at the Iceman era and everything that surrounded it, the lawsuit, the ice cubes, the fake hype campaign, the leaked snippets, what is the story going to be? And the honest answer, based on everything available right now, is that it is going to be the story of an artist who could not accept a loss, chose spite over growth, and made an album that cemented his decline instead of reversing it.
Because here's the thing about legacy in hip-hop. The albums that last are the ones that say something real about the person who made them. Not just competitive real, genuinely, vulnerably, honestly real. And Drake making an album about how much he hates Kendrick Lamar, LeBron James, and Pusha T is not that. It is the opposite of that. It is an album that is going to tell everyone who listens to it exactly what kind of person Drake has become in the 2 years since the beef, and that portrait is not going to be flattering.
And if Drake goes after the women on this album, if Savannah James gets bars, if Whitney gets bars, if Virginia Williams gets bars, that is not just going to confirm what Kendrick said about him and Not Like Us, it is going to make it undeniable. Because the image of Drake that Kendrick painted was of someone who targets and weaponizes women rather than confronting the men he actually has a problem with. And Drake doing exactly that on his comeback album would be the most self-defeating thing he could possibly do. It would hand his critics everything they need and then some.
So what is the endgame here? What does Drake actually win by releasing a diss album 2 years after the beef, while still in the middle of a lawsuit over the last one? The OVO fans are going to celebrate. The streamers are going to get their content. Academics is going to eat well for a few weeks. And then what? What lasting thing does Drake achieve from this? Because the real work of rebuilding a career is not done through petty diss tracks and ice sculptures. It's done through music that makes people feel something real. And nothing about the Iceman rollout suggests that that is what we are getting.
If Drake goes after the women connected to his rivals on this album, Rihanna, Serena, Whitney, Virginia, Savannah, the PR disaster is already built in before he even drops a bar. Every shot he takes at a woman confirms what Kendrick said about him. Every diss gets reflected back against his own lawsuit. Every boastful claim gets immediately undermined by 2 years of documented failure. There is no third path here. Either he ignores all the contradictions and the culture tears him apart, or he tries to address them and exposes himself even further. The only question is how spectacular the failure is going to be. Because what makes an album last is not gotcha moments or shock value disses. It's whether it says something true about the person who made it. And an album built entirely on unresolved grievances and petty score settling does not age well. Iceman is not going to save Drake. It is going to be the final chapter that confirms, for the record and for history, exactly why he needed saving in the first place.